I know like before.
Ladi was gonna say something though.
Okay, yeah, Ladi.
Honestly, I think I forgot my thought. It was so fresh. It was so fresh in the ideal behind when you were talking, and not fresh.
Welcome back. You are in the presence of the president, Sean Williams. Welcome back to the safe room. I know it's been a minute since I dropped an episode, but I'm back. I'm here to stay. And today we got a special one today. You know, it's a little collaboration. You know, we got the safe room and we got the real project. So today I have three guests with me. First up, I have Andre and Ladi. I'm working with them currently on a huge conference that's going to be
What's up?
And basically, you know, we've been working for the past couple of weeks. And also I got the wonderful and beautiful Sydne here.
Hey.
So today there's a lot that we're going to talk about. So I just wanted to like ask you guys a couple of questions, again, based on just the status of just youth right now in terms of like employment, because I think that's a big issue, you know, based on just students trying to find some type of job to support themselves and support their families throughout the summer. So we're going to go through that. Before we get into it, for all the people that are new to the channel, thank you for tuning in to the safe room. For all the people who are coming back, thank you again. I appreciate the support. If you missed any of my earlier episodes, make sure you check my channel. Check the icon up top. And again, I just dropped my second sportcast with my buddies Kevin and Tien, Timeout, the new sports podcast. Make sure to check that out as well. And yeah, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, something on my mic was that kind of off.
All right, you're good. So with the first question, so I want to ask you guys, what is your take on the increase of employment in the last few weeks?
Oh, you go first, Ladi.
No, Sydne, you can go first.
I was going to say that I'm not exactly sure what the statistics are, but I do know it's been quite a big drop across the entire country. It's really sad because even with that too, like, not only has the New World Order, like, changed due to coronavirus in regards to how we go to school and how we learn and how we interact with each other and our family and friends, but even making money is going to be entirely different. Like, cash kind of going completely away. It also kind of, like, affects a lot of people who don't, you know, necessarily run everything through the bank. Like, now what's going to happen to that form of security? Like, I just kind of feel hopeless. I hate to, you know, start on that note, but I'm just like really not exactly sure like what the future could possibly look like. I mean, I'm sure it could be positive. I'm sure there's like something good that will come out of this, but I'm not exactly sure what that looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it has been crazy. And like recently I noticed that, you know, with the opening of like a lot of stores, restaurants, you know, a lot of like employees are now being either called back or, you know, there's been an increase to like get employees for these jobs. And I just think like the safety of it is always something you have to keep in mind. Because again, like, you know, especially during the times we're still going through, it's just a lot to deal with. And again, like the statistics, it may not be like a huge increase or an increase at all. It could be fluctuating. But yeah, Sydne, I totally agree with you on that aspect. Ladi, is there anything you want to say?
And yeah, bro, I think I'm thinking about too.
No, Andre, go ahead. No, go ahead. That's my fault. I should have.
No, I was just saying, like, in terms of like that whole safety piece, right? Like, I feel you on that because that's something I thought about a lot too. Like, when I'm thinking about the essential workers or the people who were still working through this pandemic, like the people at the grocery store, and it's old people, but it's young people too, like it's teenagers, like, you know, being called to go into work, and I'm just like, yo, like they're being put at risk, right? To work at the grocery store. I get it, they have masks and they're trying to put up like these like barriers or whatever at the checkout counters and stuff. But it's still, I still feel it for them because people gotta eat, like, you know, people gotta go to work to try to make money, but at the same time, like, their safety is at risk. So like, I'm lucky, like I wasn't considered an essential worker, so like my job, like I was able to work like from home and stuff like that, like, you know. Um, so I feel like very privileged and lucky that I didn't have to be out there like working at the stores, like, you know, serving people and stuff. But I really have to pick up the essential workers and the people who are working all throughout, and, you know, making sure everyone else is good, yo. But in terms of the job stuff, like for me, like I was supposed to have a job this summer with the Canada Student Service Grant thing or whatever. But ever since the organization Me Too We kind of dropped the partnership with the government, like all the teachers who were hired, like we got terminated. So now we don't have jobs, and it's really hectic because I was really looking forward to that like stream of income for the summer. And now I don't have a job, but there was still a lot of critique about the program because it was supposed to provide students with jobs, but students were going to be getting paid like, it's not even jobs, it was quote unquote volunteer work, but they're getting paid for it, but they're getting paid under minimum wage. So that was a big concern. Like, if the government's trying to provide jobs for students, why are they paying them under minimum wage, like $10 an hour?
Yeah.
It's kind of wild, like, you know. So, like, I don't know. Like, I've been hearing like a lot about the government being in debt, like a whole bunch of money, so it's hard for them to provide jobs. But I really feel like there's ways for the government to provide the money. Just pull out funding from police, military, like, you know. There's so much money they could come up with.
Yeah.
Period, yo. So that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, Andre, you touched on a lot of good points. You also touched on like the Canada Student Service Grant. We're gonna talk about that later. You know, I don't know if like Ladi wanted to add anything.
Oh no. Well, what you guys said was like, you know, super important, but like, you know, I'm just touching on it. Like, it's a very difficult situation because, like, you know, you want people, they have things they have to pay for, like rent, you know, they have to, it's very stressful. You know what I mean? People, they need, like, you know, their job for their source of income. A lot of people probably didn't get CERB. A lot of people didn't qualify for CERB. So, you know what I mean? Like, some people, you know, they need to work to gain some sort of income. But then again, like, you know, it's still difficult too, because like, Corona and the whole pandemic is going on. So you can't really, like, it's really hard to tell like who's got it, because it's probably like a lot of people who've probably not been tested and maybe might have it, you know what I mean? And they're probably not showing any symptoms. So it's just, I don't know, it's just very difficult situation. But so in that regard, I guess if you're going back to work, you just have to, I guess, put yourself forward, meaning, you know, you put your safety at first. You put your safety first and make sure, you know, you're as safe when you're at work.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, like, all your takes are like, it's crazy just how like everything has kind of transpired. And, you know, a lot of people are noticing that's what's happening with all the increase in employment. And people are saying like it's not the smartest decision, but honestly, people may not look at it in certain view as into like what the government is. They're maybe looking at it more of like an economic view. It's like, it's not about like what's the smartest, like what's right in terms of just profitability and what's needs to be done. But do you guys think there could be like different alternatives that could be implemented, or even is there an idea that the government are not trying to think about, or at least have like a contingency plan in terms of like, if this wasn't the direction they would head into, and just increase all these employment or handed out all these grants and bursaries to students?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm gonna touch on what Andre said. Like, yo, fuck, you guys need to, you know, really organize what you guys need to do with the money, where the money's going towards. Like, you know, for example, there's so much money in policing, and you know what I mean, that money can be used for so much like more useful stuff, or it can be divided. Like cops, they don't need that much money in there in the system. You know what I mean? And if we found a way, if the government found a way to implicate some of that money and spread it around with like healthcare, um with child what am I trying to say? Hold on.
Like childcare,
Uh, yeah, childcare.
Yeah, I think that
Child,
would fall under healthcare too.
yeah. And then yeah, just even for the people, you know what I mean? Like, yo, like I swear, like the grocery clerks, everyone who's working in the grocery stores during the pandemic, yo, they should have been, they should have had a raise, because like, yo, if anyone that's, they're just as much as in risk as, you know, even some of the, not like, not as much as like the healthcare professionals, but there's some of the people who could have caught the virus, you know, at a high rate, because the amount of people who come into the grocery stores, you know what I mean? Like the amount of contact, you know, they could possibly be getting by, you know, different people, elders, you
Yeah.
know, people who might have fevers, and like, you know, it's just, I don't know. I feel like you have to, like, in these situations, and I hope, you know what I mean? Like whoever's coming in to step in, you know what I mean? You have to really like understand and listen to the people. The people are really talking, and they're really voicing their frustration about, like, you know, what they want to see as in terms of action. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, just added on to your point, Lottie, like, just like there could be some form of like cross contamination in terms of like
Hmm.
the customer and the grocery clerk. So like there's
Yeah.
a lot of like lurking variables that need to be considered, especially in just like I feel like it does frustrate me the fact that like, all this thing of just like opening all this stuff and still seeing that, oh, you can just wear a mask or just make sure you just practice social distancing with like precaution and stuff. Like sometimes that may not be good enough. And again, like, for a lot of people, some of them might not see this as a serious situation, they may just look at the numbers and like, well, it's not as high as it was before, or it's decreasing, or it's not as serious as like when it first started in the first wave. But like there's even talks like, just of like a second wave coming up. So like there's a lot of different like emotions and feelings that everyone's is thinking about right now. So
Right. I mean, like recently Monday, the bylaw was passed that inside you are required to like wear a mask. And it's a little bit scary. I've been working throughout most of the pandemic. I'm not necessarily an essential worker. Um, but I have been, just because like, I had to do what I had to do. But it makes me kind of think in regards to the vaccine, like what's gonna happen when that comes out to play. Like if we're required to now wear masks, are you now going to require people to take a vaccine? And then like even with the research behind the vaccine, like you kind of see like how it might be detrimental more than it actually might be positive, because COVID-19 is a mutating virus. Like it changes constantly. So it's like you're pumping all these metals and all these forces within your body, and even the virus itself within your body, to try and fight it. And you may not even fight it. You may even get it in return, or 10 times worse. So it's just kind of like this whole lack of control from like the people versus the government is just kind of, I think, something that worries me the most. But I think in a positive light, I feel like with COVID-19, it's kind of forced a lot of people to be more aware of where their rights are, and how they can step back into control, and what things they're going to allow, what things they're not going to allow. And that the government, like, even though, financially we're going through a lot of ups and downs, but even through CERB, we're able to see that, the government is able to finance people, and everyone can live on, a certain minimum wage, and do what they want to do, and handle their emotions, and handle their it's not easier, because, throughout this pandemic, we went through a lot of racial political violence. I mean, we've been going through that for a long time, but just to see how things are playing out and see how people are reacting, I would say is probably the most positive light to the entire situation.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next thing I want to talk about is the whole Canada Student Service Grant. Now, Andre first introduced me to this, and like at first, like I thought it was like something that could be really useful, especially like for students that going into the school year that could like get some income to like, you know, support themselves, whether it's like through tuition. But then like I started thinking to myself, you know, just how the setup is, and you know, just how you need to like accumulate a certain amount of hours to finally, like, you know, get a pay. Like to me, like I just don't know why, you know, it feels like, you know, I'm draining myself. I am giving my personal labor to you. And it's like, I have to work 10 times harder just to get that one pay. It's like, you know, emotional, like labor, like emotional slavery in some sense, you know. I feel like that alone just kind of feels like I don't want to do something like that. Like, why am I going to work 100 hours just to get $1,000 when, like, I'm currently working right now and I can get $1,000 in a week?
Right.
So I want to get your guys' take on it, because to most people it seems beneficial, because again, people are just trying to like get some money, whether it's through like CSSG or the grant. So I just want to know and what your guys' take, and you know how I guess either beneficial or detrimental it is to society.
Well, I think, yeah, the biggest thing about the grant was the fact that, yeah, you're paying. And one of the issues was that people had was that they were calling it volunteering. So they're allowing students to volunteer with not for profits, but they'll get a grant at the end, right? So people had an issue with calling it volunteering if they're getting paid, because they are getting paid for it at the end of the day. Because when you think of volunteering, it's free labor. Like, it's something that you do out of your own will, like you want to do it. There shouldn't be any expectation of any sort of pay. So it's kind of blurring the lines, and people had an issue with that. And then also people had an issue with calling it volunteer. Some people felt like the government were just calling it volunteering so they could get away with paying students under minimum wage, right? Let's just call it volunteer, like, so people don't realize, like, yo, these kids are getting paid, like, you know, $10 an hour, which is like very exploitative, and they're doing so much work. So I think, like, yo, it's important to offer job opportunities, but we have to do it in a way that's equitable, right? So make sure, like, yo, like, we're paying students proper. If you're paying them, pay them properly, yo. Like, you know what I mean? And make sure you're giving the opportunities to those who really, really need it. There's students who really, really need money right now to support themselves, support their families. Like, it's been really hard, right? So, like, another critique of it was, like, were they even targeting certain groups of students, like marginalized students, racialized, Black students, Indigenous students who are, like, economically marginalized and would benefit mostly from this kind of money? So, like, there was a lot of, like, you know, sketchiness, and that's part of the reason I think the organization that was partnered with the government, why they dropped out, because they were getting criticized a lot, rightly so. So yeah, I don't know what's happening with the program anymore. The government's saying they're going to try to continue to, like, you know, administer it themselves. But all those questions around, like, the minimum wage piece, around, like, the transparency of the money, like, those have yet to be answered. So, like, you know what, like, I don't know, but it's rough, because if they just used to cancel the program, like, that's money that a lot of students could have used and benefited from, even though it is below minimum wage. Like, it's hard to find jobs, bro. Like, it's so hard, man, and people need to eat.
Yeah, but even with that being, like, below minimum wage, though, like, there's different ways that they can set it up. Like, maybe if you give it to more concentrated groups of youth, you're able to actually get more out of it. And then it's kind of like, you know, I feel like if they're not even, like, willing to communicate with whether or not, like, answer those questions, now if the program does fall through, where would that money go? Like, that's another thing that I really don't like. It's this kind of, like, lack of access to know where our tax dollar is going. Because it's not just the government's money. Like, they don't just get it out of thin air. It's the money that they take off of our checks It's
True.
okay that they took off of our parents' checks. Like, things that we've been doing for years. We're working so hard for years, and this money is getting scraped off to go back to the community. But then when we don't know where it's going, it's just kind of like, and you're struggling, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're struggling on top of that. Like, you want to know the transparency, the amount of trust that we put in the government to take care of us is just kind of sad.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. Like that, I totally agree with the tax dollars. Like, you don't even know where that's going to be going. And like, for me, just personal experience, like I've worked with people on certain things, and like for some of them, there's like, you can get an honorarium if you're a student, and like, you get like some type of pay, like, and for them, like, they don't even like receive that. And like, seeing what this grant is about, like, you're volunteering just to get paid, is just like, to me, I feel like a slap in the face, because what I've experienced through my time not being able to get paid for my services, when I wasn't even volunteering, when I had a role to do, but now it's like I have to do the most for the bare minimum. It's just like, I feel like there's just a huge contrast in there. And another thing as well, what do you think is like needed more? I know like everyone's trying to find like the balance between, there should be more jobs, or there should be more grants, because even if there's jobs out there, there's still, again, like the whole actually getting hired, all the qualifications in that, and like, again, what you said, Sydney, the lack of resources, because a lot of students may not know where to go right now in terms of like where to find a job. So I think it's really important. Yeah, I have one more question. So again, what do you think is like more important at this point? Being able to open doors for students to actually find more opportunities at employment, and making sure that, when it comes to the government side, everyone is getting, accessible and like equity in terms of profit? Or do you think there should be like more grant? Because again, a lot of like students going into like university or college, they need to like pay off their tuitions and stuff. Like, what do you guys think is more important, the finding job aspect, or creating more grants?
I feel like creating more grants would be really great, because I feel like a lot of things are changing. Like, a lot of jobs are changing. Like, I'm not sure what an office environment is going to even look like, to be quite honest, after this, because a lot of people have discovered that they're able to do a lot of things remotely. So I feel like having grants to kind of allow people to innovate and develop on new ways of doing things will probably be more helpful. But then again, I do kind of worry about the lack of physical presence can also, like, we as the world, especially like North Americans, are very materialistic. So I just kind of fear, like, without physical contact, how are we going to learn about love and like compassion? But like, I don't know, like, maybe there's just going to be like a new way of developing those like character traits or like emotions through work. But I definitely feel like that should be more of the focus, because the money is there. Money is always going to be circulating. It's just a matter of like what it's going to.
I agree with that.
And I feel like with the grant situation, why is it that it's only grants for people who are in post-sec or applying to post-sec, like college, university? There's some people who don't want to go to college, they don't want to go to university, so why are they restricted from getting money? Like, I get it. It's important to support those who are in college and university, supporting them to pay their tuition. But I think it's also just important to support people who are not in post-sec, who also need money too, right?
Yeah.
So I think the government needs to just, ensure that everyone's being taken care of, not just a particular group, and not valuing people over the other. Like, everyone needs to eat, everyone needs, what are you going to say, Ladi?
Because you might have that person who, like you said, might not be going to college or university, but they still might have that great ideal. They still might have that life-changing project, but you know what I mean? They just they might not have the income or enough to support, that ideal. So I think that's important too, you know what I mean? You can't just look at the people who's in school, you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of people you know, maybe school might not be. You never know. People might have struggles in their life where they can't go to school, and you know what I mean. They may have to tend to their family. They might have to, you know what I mean. The headspace is just, it might not be there for school, and you know what I mean. I feel like they should have the same opportunity for a grant, you know.
Yeah.
Too.
And I agree with what Sydney was saying on, like, I have no idea what the work situation is going to look like after this. Like, things are going to change so much, even with education. Like, going back in September, I don't know what my role is going to be. I don't know if it's going to be mostly just remote learning, like, you know, on a computer. So I'm, like, worried. Like, I don't know. Everything's just up in the air right now.
To be honest,
but
I could. Yeah, sorry. I'll finish.
But I was just saying, yeah, I do think it's important to have both. Like, yeah, more grants, like, for sure. And just more opportunities, job opportunities, so people can get experiences doing different things, like work experience.
Yeah, I think even like if grants could be even more towards even like
Work.
businesses too as well, and entrepreneurs and people who want to like develop like new ways of doing things. There's definitely room and growth for that.
I think that's really important as well. I know, like, before.
Ladi
like,
was gonna say something though.
Okay, yeah, Ladi.
Honestly, I think I forgot my thought. It was so fresh. It was so fresh in the ideal behind when you were talking, and I forgot it.
We'll come back.
But if I think about it, I'm gonna come back.
I remember before there were talks of like establishing like a universal basic income. So like basically they were going to give like every individual who was like at least a Canadian citizen or fit like a certain criteria a given amount of money, and that was to support them when it had to do with like food, clothing, shelter, and like it was supposed to happen. But like what I see in that concept, it's kind of like the dumbed down version of what I'm seeing right now, especially with the whole CSB and what they're trying to do with this grant and everything that's going on. And I think just the important aspect is that we're making sure that everyone is benefiting from this, because there are a lot of people who may not, you know, have the ability to like apply for these grants, or, you know, maybe just based on like the situation they're in, you know, they're in a category where they're just limited to certain resources. So it's important that everyone is being supported at these times. So.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people who are not even like Canadian citizens who are here, like immigrants, like newcomers, like, and a lot of them are like they're kind of restricted from accessing a lot of opportunities and money just because they're not a Canadian citizen, right?
Yeah.
So like, are we thinking about them as well when thinking about who's being taken care of? Because even with that grant, like you have to be a Canadian citizen to get it, right? So yeah, it's just a lot. It's a lot. I think the government is not doing a great job at all. Even CERB, like y'all couldn't just allow us. Why is it taxable? Like y'all can just give us the money just to make us, like, you know.
Yeah, that's why.
That's not even enough for some people. That $2,000 a month.
Yeah, and the fact that it's like it's possible that we have to pay it back and shit, that shit is just like ridiculous. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like with these things building up and us realizing how the government is falling short, I think it's causing more community organization. Mm-hmm. And with community organization, I think a lot of people are seeing like having their community members being a part of building the community and handling situations are 10 times better. Like, for example, a lot of the times police officers in your own community are not even from your community, but yet they're monetizing the community and they're criminalizing it. And they don't even know what people go through, what people are like seeing, like how teachers are underdeveloped, like budgets are underdeveloped, and they're not able to teach students the way that they should, or students are not even eating properly, they're not even being fed properly. And then that like trickles down into so much different things that are happening within the community, whether that be violence. Like we all see how poverty and affects that. So even 10 times on top of that, you have a virus, you know. Like I feel like if we were able to take a little bit of responsibility that we put on the government towards just like community-led organizations, I feel like a lot of things could change for the better.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that's everything I wanted to cover today, unless anyone has like any last words to say.
Well, Sean, like this is a really good show. Like, what made you want to start talking about these issues and start your podcast?
I mean, I caught like an inspiration from my first year at York. You know, I was part of like the Business and Society Student Association. They did a podcast called Negative Balance. I was the host, and from there I just had a passion of like, you know, just talking about stuff like this, and you know, just not like, you know, serious political or like economic issues, like, you know, culture issues, like fun topics as well and everything. But I don't know, like it's just good to be able to like have a platform where you could like share your voice and your opinions without being judged by anyone.
Facts.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. And I like your shirt, Survivor.
Yeah.
What does it say under it?
So it's the definition of it, basically.
Survivor of COVID.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just for
Yo, Sean, I'm trying to get on the sports episode
sports one?
podcast. Yeah. Plug me in.
I mean, what's happening with sports? Like, it's kind of crazy.
Hey,
it's crazy. It's a whole lot of debates on if the NBA should come back. A lot of people feel like, you know, the climate, it shouldn't come back, and then.
But then the NFL is like still thriving, weirdly enough. And then they had this whole thing of, oh, like we'll play the Negro national anthem for like a week, like. All that bullshit, like, I'm kind of...
Hey, you guys are welcome to come on the show. Like, if you want to, like, talk about it, just hit me up, man. Hit me up. But,
thanks for sharing your platform with us, Sean. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thank you, Andre, Ladi, Sydne, for being here. I know you guys are super busy, and I'm so grateful you guys are.
I like the salute, Andre. Salute. Oh, my bad. Yo. Oh, we're still recording?
Oh
yeah, bro. It's up on the screen. Look.
Sorry. Yo, Andre. Yeah, my bad. I forgot you were talking about the pop album. You messaged me.
Oh yeah, I messaged you about the pop album.
You like it, eh?
Oh, I love it.
Alright. Sean, you listen to it, or Sydne, you guys listen to it?
No, but I've heard like emotional for me.
Well, Ladi, I will definitely take that Pop Smoke album into consideration. So, thank you guys for tuning in to the Safe Room. You know what it is, it's your boy Sean. I'll see you guys soon.